Let's keep this series moving. Let's keep it going. Already covered the Rams and the Cardinals. Let's stay in the division. Today, we're talking the Seattle Seahawks.
Welcome to the Rines Report with your host, Tristan Blake Rines.
So let's recap what the 2019 season was for the Seattle Seahawks. True to form, they had a pretty big splash in the draft, drafted Ole Miss wide receiver, the flex god himself, DK Metcalf, day 2, and was a huge rookie contributor for the offense. Helped elevate by opening up the field for guys like Tyler Lockett, even their tight end, who down the road became Jacob Hollister, and, got Chris Carson into the open field a little bit more as well. Just by being on the field, the offense became a lot better. DK had 58 catches on the year, 900 receiving yards, and 7 receiving touchdowns. Tyler Lockett had a very good year alongside of him. 1,057 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns on 82 catches. Jacob Hollister became a fun weapon down the stretch, 41 catches, 349 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, played in 11 games, and started the last 3 games of the regular season, as well as the 2 playoff games for the Seahawks. They walked into the season as essentially division favorites, right? I can't imagine anybody thought the 49ers were gonna splash as hard as they did. Seattle was still true to form, notched 11 wins on the year, split the season series with San Francisco, and wound up in the wild card. Got a big W versus the Philadelphia Eagles. They nearly beat the Green Bay Packers if a couple of defensive plays, land their way. And of course, we have to talk about the MVP candidate, Russell Wilson, for making all of it even possible. Wilson was prolific. He had a great season, chased the MVP, and just wasn't splashy enough to outshine the MVP in Lamar Jackson. I've got to, just call this a hunch, but I think Russell Wilson's got an MVP at some point coming in his future, okay? Mark my words, I think it's going to happen eventually. Russell Wilson, really good year. Again, 4,110 pass yards, 31 touchdowns, 5 picks, a 106.3 passer rating, along with 342 rush yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. In total, a very Seahawks type of season. Strong squad led by some pretty good coaching out of Pete Carroll, superb quarterback play, and some rock solid defense. They were even viewed as contenders at times. They got a playoff win, not the desired end result. Obviously, they didn't quite make the Super Bowl or anything, but not a bad year for the Seattle Seahawks. The big question, the reason you clicked the video, the reason you're even here in the first place, how did the Seahawks get better for the 2020-2021 season? They've got cap space at about $51 million, according to Over the Cap. Key free agents, Jadeveon Clowney coming off the edge, Ezekiel Ansah, you could consider one, Michael Kendricks, left guard Mike Iupati, and Jermaine Ifedi, all guys that are set to hit free agency or were big contributors during the entire course of the year that are not, planning on being back. The positions in need, obviously, edge, defensive end, right tackle, running back. I'm sure they're also going to try to address the linebacker position, but let's cover those 4, the edge, defensive end, right tackle, running back positions, and let's see, let's theorize who could the Seattle Seahawks get to improve the squad. Let's address the tight end position, because I understand Jacob Hollister is supposed to hit free agency, but the Seahawks have already signed veteran Greg Olsen to a deal, like $7 million, so they basically got that position locked up. 3-4 edge rusher, Jadeveon Clowney, set to hit the market. Not necessarily a huge year, but you would imagine, it's Jadeveon Clowney, right? He still had some impact. I mean, you've got to bring more people over to that side. You got to account for that edge rush even more so. 3 sacks on the year. He even got a touchdown off of an interception. 7 tackles for loss in 13 games last year. He played 57% of snaps. And, bang for your buck, I think you could easily replace Jadeveon Clowney and likely get at least that kind of production out of whoever you replace him with. I got a couple of candidates to fill in that 3-4 edge role. Dante Fowler could replace Jadeveon Clowney. I think he'd be cheaper overall, and he came off a season with obviously higher production. 11.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, played in all 16 games, and had a tackle for loss on average in each of those games. With the Rams, I mean, the Rams weren't necessarily a prolific team all around this past season, but Dante Fowler had a really good year, all things considered. Bud Dupree, another similar player. He's young, 11.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 16 tackles for loss, and he played the full season. Either one of those guys, I can imagine you'd get for cheaper than whatever Jadeveon Clowney is going to be demanding on the market this year, and easily could be, you could put them all over the defense, not just 3-4 kind of sets. You could, get them, put their hand in the dirt, go out and play a little bit more coverage, I'm imagining, and I think they'd be seamless fits into the defense. The 4-3 defensive end position, Ezekiel Ansah, only 32% of the snaps played last season, 11 games total, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss in the year. So it is going to be apparent it's going to be a notable spot to fill in, especially on an aggressive style defense that Pete Carroll and the Seahawks happen to have. A couple of candidates, Jason Pierre-Paul, more of a pass rusher than Ezekiel Ansah, but if you're not going to get Jadeveon Clowney back, and maybe you're not going to get Fowler or Dupree, well, you get another veteran presence. He had 10 games last year, 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 9 tackles for loss. And I think Jason Pierre-Paul could fill in that, okay, we need the edge rusher kind of position. Put your hand in the dirt, go get the quarterback, and maybe shut down some running lanes coming off the edge. Another guy, Eric Armstead, I think is going to be more expensive. This free agency, he's still slated to hit. He's a big body power rusher type, and he's had a career year in the Robert Saleh defense, 10 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and played all 16 games. Now, you could say he could be a system product. Robert Saleh did a great job on the defense this year. Nick Bosa, obviously a huge reason for the success on defense. But Eric Armstead has great size. You'll be able to talk him down to a bit more of an affordable contract. I mean, nobody likes to be told like, oh, well, you're only good because of this. But I still think Eric Armstead has some good upside. I don't know if he's quite the big splash guy that's going to come out and put up 13 sacks this year. But, I think he could be worth looking into if I'm the Seattle Seahawks. Right tackle, Germain Ifedi, played 100% of snaps last season. The only guy who's hitting the market who did this at that position, allowed 6 sacks, kind of a penalty guy, 13 penalties, and Pro Football Focus gave him a 56.2 grade. There are a couple of guys out there, most notably Jack Conklin, the biggest name at the tackle market this season. A lot of teams will be looking for his services, and again, Seattle could very well be one of them. 4 sacks allowed on the year, 7 penalties. He's an All-Pro formerly, and he got a 78 grade from PFF. Another guy, a bit more of a vet, right? Brian Bulaga, another presence on the right side. Very, very similar numbers. Was very reliable for Aaron Rodgers. Only 4 sacks allowed last year, 6 penalties, and just a tick under the grade of Jack Conklin, 77.9 from PFF. Now, either one of these guys, I think you could probably get Bulaga because he's a bit older on a more affordable contract if you're the Seahawks. Again, they've got plenty of money to play around with here, and those 3 positions, right tackle, the edge guys in Ansah and Clowney, those are going to be positions of need. If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, the offense is getting better and better, it seems, every single year. Invest your money back into your defense once again. Finally, running back. CJ Prosise, backup running back, hitting the market. Chris Carson easily is the established running back 1 in Seattle. I'm not recommending they go out and try to change that, but Chris Carson does need a little bit of support. He can't play 100% of snaps. Even about 58% like Derrick Henry, it's a lot of workload. So I got one guy that can get in the mix with Carson and a healthy Rashard Penny. It's Peyton Barber, rotational guy in Tampa Bay. You don't have to change that too much with him. I think he could be a good tandem or trifecta with Carson and Penny, and doesn't have a ton of mileage. Last year, only 470 rush yards, 6 touchdowns, 3.1 yards per carry, and only 1 fumble on the season. An affordable option that you can plug into the backfield, and I'm sure he'd work very, very well in Seattle. They're going to have some good draft picks. First rounder at 27, they got 2 second-round picks, no third-round pick, a 4th, 2 fifth-round picks, and a 6th-round pick. Could have dressed cornerbacks. Again, you could probably address the missing gap of Michael Kendricks at the linebacker position and even use some of those draft picks to fill in the gaps like right tackle, edge guys as well, and maybe even find your next running back too. I mean, running backs seem to be coming from all sorts of rounds in the draft these past few years. In summary, the Seahawks are in a very solid position here. Later first round, but plenty of cap space to work with in free agency to continue to build around Russell Wilson while he's in his prime years. Go keep chasing championships. There's a lot of talent on the offense. It's going to keep getting even better. And Pete Carroll still seems to have that fire, the gum-chewing dude on the sideline. Seems like a fun environment to suit up in every day. And I'm looking forward to seeing if Seattle tries any big splashes this offseason. I wouldn't be shocked if they land a couple of big names, and you shouldn't be either. Thank you guys so much for watching the Rines Report here on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe, watch some old content. I mean, most previous video right there for you. So go ahead, check it out. And of course, like, share, comment, get the bell on, all the good stuff. And I'm gonna catch you in the next video. Adios.